This is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. Our lead stories this hour: some members of TEU in public universities break away from the mother group to form a rival group to champion the interests of members, claiming the mother body has done poorly in fighting for better conditions of service for members.
To improve on the care. But if the money or resources are not available, it's difficult even to give the best of care we aim at giving to.
We have details, plus we speak to an analyst on what this means for the labor front. Also, man arrested for attempting to sacrifice his daughter for money.
Man, I'm a very good man. I don't like bad things. I have children. I'm a father. I don't want to kill anybody's child. Every child is having a right to live.
Memories of pain and families separated for good. The harsh impact of June 3 flood and fire disaster hurts. 7 years on, there's a loud call for payment of adequate compensation.
Compensation, I mean, maybe someone medical base compensation. Last year, I'm Bekasa, and now Bibaji Max say we compensation. Then I make us a compensation. Yeah, more be a compensation.
An 11-year-old girl has been saved from being killed by a traditional herbalist tipped to sacrifice her for money rituals. The herbalist, known as Nana Edu Boafo Jr., operates in AEB and says he was hired by a returnee from the USA seeking to make his life better after many failed attempts. Nana Edu Boafo insists he doesn't use human sacrifices. The returnee managed to get the girl from school and hauled her to the man's house for the rituals to be performed for him to amass wealth. But luck eluded him when the police arrived to save the girl. Joy News has intercepted videos capturing how the police intervened in the matter.
Movie I miss you too. Hey, can I say? Movie I miss you too. Can I say boko? Mama kwaba. Me ana me frɛ mo. Me herbalist. Am ye bibi draw yi ha. Papa we if abucha bagana. Ɛna ɔse no man kuyi ma no. Ba wo ma 12. Nti ni ma 12 no wo no. Opese me kumutu na me yeske dro ma no. Me a military man. I'm a disciplined man. Me ntia anya bone. And I want to prove to the whole world, any more much my mind time will say, traditional herbalist, and any paboni for, and you do for you, Nipa, send you more Nigeria from Ghana film. This one is a bad man. You need to know Kromani. Akolano de Bass and Kunifani schedule, Akolano. Oh, how are you? Okay, my name is Nane Dubois Jr. Okay, what's the name of your father? Ivan Sopon. Okay. Your father brought you here so that I'll kill you, so that he'll get money. So he brought, oh, don't be scared, my daughter. Don't be scared. To take care of you. Okay? The man is a policeman, they'll take care of you, okay?
Okay. What's your name?
Akolani was school, and I'm watching a few school about. Semi Kunifani is a drum.
You relax,
Raise your head. Raise your head.
Money in the bag, not the bag of the G's can money back in the police.
Raise your head.
Why? It's okay. Why? It's okay. Don't.
My colleague Mami A.C. Thompson is at the venue now with the latest.
I'm currently at the police headquarters here in Accra, where the case has been transferred. As I speak to you, the suspect and the mother, we also have the child, we also have the herbalist, who, as a result, we know about this particular case, are here being interrogated by the CID, the police CID. We also understand that the child is traumatized, the mother as well, devastated about the latest development, and are receiving some form of counseling from the DOVSU. We also know that this businessman, 42-year-old Evans Opon, has 12 children with 6 different women, and in the bid to make himself rich, decided to sacrifice one of his children. We cannot disclose the identity of the child currently, neither can we say exactly where she is, but we know that she's around the police headquarters. She's devastated, as I said earlier, and is receiving counseling. The police, we haven't heard from currently, but our sources are telling us that the man is likely to be charged with attempted murder. We also know that from here he'll be processed for court subsequently. We also know that as I speak to you now, they are still being interrogated, and we know that the video that has been leaked on social media and making the rounds has the image of the minor, and that goes against the law. And so police is also working around to get that down, so that the identity, the sanctity of this child can be preserved. So currently we are trying to get more information on the latest development. We haven't set eyes on the mother nor the child, neither have we set eyes on the suspect or the herbalist, but we know for sure that they are currently here at the police headquarters and are being assessed, and later will be processed. The suspect will be processed for court. So over to you, Brace.
Thank you. So that's latest on that particular story. Moving on to other stories. Access to healthcare is critical to good health, yet rural residents in northern region continue to face barriers hindering them from accessing health care. Paulina Jaba lives in a community called Jahafo Do in the Nanumba North municipality of the northern region. She lost her second child at birth because there was no clinic close by to help deal with complications she had encountered when she went into labor. Paulina is pregnant again and says it is a worry that gives her sleepless night.
Community is isolated and far from the district capital. It takes close to 4 or 5 hours to get to the community. They are mostly cut off from the rest of the world during the rainy season. The community has no school, no electricity, no network, and you can only get there through a footpath. Paulina is about 5 months pregnant and has a routine of keeping her home and preparing shea butter, all very tedious work. But these are the least of her worries. Her concern is how to have a safe delivery after a stillbirth 2 years ago.
We are suffering here. We don't have a hospital closer with us. So when we are pregnant, like how I'm pregnant now, this is 5 months now. I haven't yet go to hospital because it's very far. Well, we will go and beg some motor from somebody and we will go there. It's very far. Before we reach there, we will get to like 4 hours or 3 hours before we will not reach there. And if you want to deliver, you will suffer. Maybe you will suffer. You don't know what will come.
How many children do you have?
Only one.
Okay. So the first one, what was the experience?
I was just suffering like that and I deliver. So, and I still get another one, a second one. That one, because of there is no hospital. That one, I deliver. I was not get something who would take me to hospital. That one, I just suffer, and into the time that I deliver, she was not there. She was not alive. So we need help from what? Government. They should help us for us to do what? To get closer hospital to ourselves.
Felicia Jato, a resident, said they have had to travel on bicycles and cross streams before they can reach health centers.
There
is hardship in this area. During pregnancy, access to healthcare is difficult because there is no means of transportation. So some use bicycles. When we manage to get to Sana mile, crossing the water also becomes another problem. We can't walk through, and using a motorbike is equally not easy. So we suffer a lot during pregnancy. When we finally make it to Bimbala, we end up losing our babies.
Other residents, Felicia Yado, raised similar concerns and said they feel abandoned by the state.
We are suffering in this community. Anytime someone is sick or a woman is in labor, we find it difficult to access medical care, especially during the rainy season. We feel abandoned by the state.
Now, the front of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEU, has broken as some of them have broken away to form a new union. Now, some workers of public universities say the existing union has done terribly in fighting for improved conditions of service. The new group, called Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana, TEU-GH, claim its conditions of service have not been reviewed for 14 years, and the current leadership of TUC has failed to push government to act. Listen to Sulemana Abdul Rahman, chairman of TEU-GH, announcing the breakaway.
Everyone you see behind me or with me here are the executive of all the public universities in Ghana. So this decision that we have taken, Legon executives are part, UCC executives are part, KUST, UEW, UMAT, UHAS, UDS, and all the other universities, including Amstec and other very new universities. We want to state categorically that we are no longer under the umbrella of TUC-GH, TEU National. We want to hold the fort by ourselves so that when we negotiate with the government, part of what we have negotiated will not be taken away as they have done in our recent negotiations, which is, allowances that was negotiated for an MOU signed with Highways and Service Commission with government. By the end of the day, the National Union went behind us. These allowances was cut off.
Now, the new association says it is claiming all its assets and liabilities of TEU in public universities as theirs. Charles Arthur is the interim chairman for TEU-GH, KNUST Local.
The new union takes asset and liability of the old union because we are in the local, we are dealing with the local matter. And let me take this opportunity to explain that the structure of TEU is like this. We have the national officers, we have the regional officers, we have the district officers, then we have the local health officers. What we are talking about is the local health officers and not the entire TEU, where there will be confusion. So this one, there's no ambiguity of what we have done. So if we have any asset here in KNUST, it is ours. It is ours. When we have other assets in Accra, that belongs to the entire TEU as a body, all of us. It belongs to them. But we are talking about the assets in the various locality. It's what we are saying, that we are taking them, and if you also liability, we have also taken it, because the two goes together.
The national chairman of TEU-GH, Sulemana Abdul Rahman, and TEU-TUC General Secretary Mark Ranche joins us to have a chat on this. Now, let me start with you, Mr. Abdul Rahman. We know that in the university setup, the act that established the universities do have TEU-TUC, and that presents a fundamental challenge to TEU-GH, doesn't it?
No, please. Good evening to you, and good evening to your listeners and viewers. The act establishing the universities, I can tell you categorically that the act says that a representative of Teachers and Education Workers Union in some of the Public Universities Act, The educational is not even there. It is Teachers and Education Workers Union. And I can tell you with the fact that most of the councils, when they are even doing, inaugurations, you will see most of them, spelling, or let me say, calling us Tertiary Education Workers Union. Some of them, they don't even bring the teachers. Because some of them were asking, so who are the teachers who are among you, the members of TEU in the various public universities? Because we used to have UTAC. UTAC is no more with TEU. We used to have GAWA. GAWA is no more with TEU. Recently, it was FUSAC that also break away from TEU. And all these groups break away or detach themselves from TEU because of the challenge the public universities are faced as far as TEU of TUC national is concerned. Because the understanding is that we have the vice chancellors who are our employers, and we feel that when we are having issues on the campuses, it makes it easy. When you are standing alone, you can easily move in and then have a discussion or a dialogue with the vice chancellors, and the issues will be resolved, amicably or quickly. And that is why you have UTAC standing alone. They don't have any national office at the TUC building. That when they have a problem, then they'll have to wait for the national officers to come down to assist. That is not how it works. So our brothers who belong to UTAC and then GAWA, it makes, their problem solving a bit faster than we those who belong to, a national union. And we have been trying to make sure that we engage TEU National to up their game as far as problems and issues at the public universities are concerned. But unfortunately, things have not been working according to our expectations.
Well, Mr. Rahman, but as you mentioned that associations that have national bodies do not really perform better, you would also have a national body, isn't it?
What the differences of what I am saying is this. You have a national body who sits in Accra. And example of what I'm going to give you is this. UTAC is having a national secretariat, and the national secretariat, it moves from campus to campus. GAWA is having a national secretariat, and it moves from campus to campus. FUSAC was having, a national, secretariat, but SAC broke out from FUSAC, and I think they are the majority now, and they also move from campus to campus. So these are the groups of unions in the public universities that we think that if we should emulate, it will help to solve, our issues a bit faster and quickly than having, the national officers who are actually, excuse my language, not understanding most of the problems that we face in the public universities.
Let me bring in Mr. Crunchy here to also join the discussion. Now, Mr. Crunchy, how does this move affect, TUC in general?
Well, thank you very much, and let me say hi to your cherished listeners and viewers. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry, unfortunately, my brother is saying certain things that does not add up. It's just unfortunate. But the fact is this. Teachers and Educational Workers Union is a bigger union that comprises the non-teaching in the universities, the non-teaching in Ghana Education Service, the non-teaching in some private institutions, and including some teachers in private institutions. Just 3 days ago, we had to go and conduct lessons for Lincoln Community School. And Lincoln Community School is a private school whose membership are made up of teachers and non-teaching as well. So TEWU is a bigger body, and the non-teaching in the public university are a part of this body. He's talking about UTAG breaking away from TEWU, GAWA breaking away from TEWU. These are all not facts.
Oh.
These are not facts because UTAG has never been part of TEWU. They were coming at our back for negotiations when, at the time, they had not formed a national body. But when they formed the national body, now they do their own negotiations. They don't fall on the back of TEWU for negotiations. So my brother Rahman should know this. And PUSAG also were the same, the Senior Staff Association also was the same and were relying on the leadership of TEWU at the time when they were not a national union. So that is how it is. Now he is raising concerns about conditions of service, that we don't know anything or we don't know much about the happenings on the various campuses, and therefore we are not able to lead them the way they expect. Our structures are such that local leaders are there. We move from local to district and to regional and then to national. So if there are issues that local leaders are unable to resolve, then it comes to either the district or the regional. If the regional are unable to resolve, then they push it to the national secretariat, and that is when we also step in to go and mediate and talk about the issue. About conditions of service, yes, we made proposals, and he is aware that proposals were made together with the local leaders of the various public universities, and we channeled it through the process for negotiations. Negotiations started in 2019. There have been forth and back sometimes when leadership at the national level are suggesting and proposing a way out. These local leaders will say no because it doesn't meet their expectations and satisfaction. And trust me, when you go into any negotiation, you win some, you lose some. And that is the posture and attitude that some of us go into negotiations with. But by and large, we have gained a number of the provisions that we took to fair wages to negotiate. And it is for us to now sign off and get it implemented at the local level. When
they argue that for 14 years, you've not helped in making their conditions of service better.
So let me correct that. That is even a fallacy. There was when government introduced, single spine, there was a freeze on negotiation of conditions of service until somewhere 2018 that unions were allowed to now come and negotiate with Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Before then, it was a negotiation between the unions and the respective management at the various universities. But now the law says that we should negotiate through Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. So in 2018, so from 2008, that the condition of service expired. Because single spine came into force, all conditions of service were asked to be closed, and that we hold on negotiation of this condition of service until 2018 when we were asked to come back and negotiate. So in 2018 we submitted our proposal through Vice Chancellor Ghana. And our brother Sule is very much aware of this process, the negotiations that we went through with Vice Chancellor Ghana, and got our document right before submitting to Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. And then in 2019, June specifically, Fair Wages invited us to start the negotiation. And we have gone through the process and have negotiated all the provisions that we submitted to Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, leaving 2 items.
All right.
And the 2 items are 1, promotion, and then 2, exposure to eminent hazard, which will require some allowance to be paid to some members whose work are exposing them to some hazard. So these are the facts. And
so let me bring in Abdul Rahman here for us to wrap up on this. Abdul, so you've heard the General Secretary of TUC. He says that they've made moves to ensure that your conditions are better, and it's not they are making that for 14 years they didn't do anything. It was because of conditions that persisted. Then, what do you say to that?
Yes, I think I expect the General Secretary to be frank enough to just state the truth as it is, than beating around the bush. Why am I saying so? I'm saying so because I remember when the single spine salary structure was introduced. It didn't take the government more than 2 years to implement. But what we are saying here is is this. The conditions of service expired since 2008. And the labor law states it very clearly that a negotiation should not take 1 month to conclude. So we are saying that we have made a lot of efforts to make sure that this condition of service renewed. It got to a point, when we started the negotiation in 2019, we eventually signed an MOU with TEU National together with Fair Wages and Salary Commission. At the end of the day, the implementation of these allowances, was not done as expected. Monetary allowances that was agreed on the MOU was eventually cut off. About half of the MOU was cut off. So, and if you have a national leaders who really care for their members, their welfare, if you sign an MOU, it is the duty of the national officers to make sure that they follow the documents from office to office or from institution or agency to agents to make sure that the documents
and you think
get to
they are,
the right place.
and you think they are not doing that, right?
Exactly. What happens is this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Roman, for your time here. Let me now return to General Secretary Mark Cranche. So, definitely they are moving. What steps have you taken since you had the announcement to try and reconcile, if possible?
Well, we intend to also.
I think we've lost Mark Cranche. He is the General Secretary of TUC. Now, still to come here on Joy News Prime, memories of pain and families separated for good. The harsh impact of the June 3 flood and fire disaster hit. 7 years on, there's a loud call for payment of adequate compensation.
My compensation, medical base compensation. Last year, and now Bibaji Mark say we compensation, then I make us a compensation. Yeah, more be a compensation.
Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana is cautioning the public against illegal activities which disrupt electricity supply across the country. The state power distributor says various forms of power theft, including illegal connections, have dented the image of ECG in seeking to become the most reliable power distributor in the country. The Accra West Regional Manager of the ECG, Ebenezer Ghane, has disclosed that a number of punitive measures will be enhanced in the coming days to deal with persons engaged in power theft.
Stakeholders go beyond ECG. And the Ministry of Energy, under the direction of the Honorable Minister, for example, has set up a task force, a national task force, to help us, undertake the exercise of catching those undertaking illegalities. So that task force is in place. On a day-to-day basis, you can walk to any of our offices, our district office, our regional office, and talk to the manager. They are there to assist, and they are there to listen, to help us all curb this, unfortunate activities. That exercise is ongoing. They're actually moving around the various operational areas. They will be in Accra West very soon. Now, there are two ways to look at this. I give a date now, then those doing the illegalities will start, But they should, you see, when you get into it, you enjoy it. So whatever be the case, go get them. There are two contact numbers to which are in play now, whereby through which customers can contact us. ECG has a call center, and the call center number, I believe by now, is well known, 0302 611 611. You can report your fault. You can also report illegalities there. The National Task Force itself, the number to them is 055 144 4011.
So anyone at all could?
Anyone at all can call that number, report the incident, and we'll take care of it. This is simple. If you are into the business of committing illegalities, don't do it. You see, the punitive measures, and at this point, you see, I need to add that the ECG has sent a proposal through the Ministry of Energy to the EC, which is consolidating a new a draft LI. And we are asking for the punitive measures to be enhanced. People are going to be punished more. People will be prosecuted and their names will be published in the dailies. If you want your family members and your friends to identify and see you as, one who steals power, over to you. Don't do it. The other side of it is that I indicated it can lead to fire outbreaks. So in doing this, you can be actually a source of danger to yourself and to society. Don't do it.
Now, since 2015, the 3rd June of every year reminds Ghanaians of the deadly flood and fire disaster that occurred at Circle, Accra. And 7 years on, some victims of the disaster are asking the government to honor the payment of the compensations promised them in 2015. The victims who have been speaking to Joy News say governments, past and present, have been paying lip service with their compensation without fulfilling them, making life unbearable for them. There is more in this report.
Burnt skins, fractured arms and scars, and physical impairments are the stark reminder of that deadly disaster that struck 7 years ago. At a glance, people were trapped between flood waters and fire at Circle here in Ghana's capital, Accra.
That
is Kasim Siraj telling me his story of the June 3 disaster. He lost his wife and child on that fateful day.
Na 37 so me ko da on sa time no na me nim say my wife ne me brother me busa for o mewu ndi me dawa e be discharge me ansa na psychologist for ya mo ba me nche na me nim de okoso de na but yanka you see my wife no o mo wa admission reach and I miss more 37 ndi na me so me gidi sa da e be discharge me na chem so my wife me busa for o mefu.
According to him, his life changed on that fateful day and has never been the same since. He says he does not even have money to go for checkups.
Fiti satam na besin de se no challenges kwa mi da so sa egusi kwa ayaresa ane skasem nti ena nansia ayaresa ena Mr. Mintimi ko review saji ba ku 20 ena mi yeye nkase miti yi nkase fi miti nti ko we kura headgear na be shemiti kura na sika ni ma be headgear sika wan na me admission na ebetia me base me ko bisa ye say base na etia compensation me tunwa na mo enko yi
amount to compensation.
Compensation, I mean, maybe someone, I see, medical base, medical base compensation. Last year, I'm begging us, Bekasa. And now, Bibaji, Mark say we have compensation, then I make us a compensation. Yeah, more be a compensation. My wife name me busa for mushroom me busa for say we anka me bechiche mu work akra. Ya sana me hwa mo skenyo. Busia na me boys la show ye betua me bisa ese compensation. Nti mesra mu compensation de embaye nti ye besre aban. Na omo hwe na omo to na mo man mpenifo na mo kabia omo kabi man na nti me nya yesika na nti me share omo na nti me share ya yarisa.
Another victim, Thomas Sechi, revealed to Joy News that none of the victims has been given compensations for their plight as is being propagated by government.
Me pacho omo bibia compensation. Me Untitled victim chairman. Omo bia mpatesika e friend compensation. Me nhunu biba bia. Because sikana omo kaso omo ma ye compensation no ye 2015 na case you know. Omo ye into two groups. Survivors no ho na omo lost to family no. E wo honom. Enti omo ma obia or lost to any family 10,000 Ghana cedi, which is 100 million. So omo fancy any family no. Na mrepamu no aban be hwe na omo empatesika. Enti ya na ye survive no that time krofo omo yi omo no. Na ye yi free hospital aban na nsan ntua ho sika bio. Nti sika na omo de ama ye 10,000 na de be hwe ho yade.
Suraj pleaded with government for their compensations to be paid so he can afford his medical checkups because he is beginning to suffer.
My wife name me busa for mushroom me busa for say we anka me bechiche mu work akra. Ya sana me hwa mo skenyo. Busia na me boys la show ye betua me bisa ese compensation nti mesra mu compensation de embaye nti ye besre aban na omo hwe na omo to na mo man mpenifo na omo kabi man na nti me nya yesika na nti me share yo na nti me share yarisa.
It was a deadly day indeed from the level of destruction that we saw on the 3rd of June 2015. But have we learnt our lessons? Your guess is definitely as good as mine.
Our former United Nations Governance Advisor and CEO of the Kufuor Foundation, Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah, has expressed disappointment at the level of corruption in Ghana, especially among politicians. The controversy surrounding the will of the late former CEO of the Forestry Commission has got anti-corruption crusaders worried and blame it on the lack of political will to fight the canker. Professor Agyeman-Duah, in a yet-to-be-aired interview on PM Personality Profile, told host Aisha Ibrahim that making the country's asset declaration regimental is one key way to check corruption among government appointees.
The mechanisms that we have created to check, we are not serious in enforcing them. Typical example, declaration of assets. Who has been serious with that? The law itself is even nebulous. The law itself is ineffective. Yeah. I don't know who wrote the Constitution, what they had in mind. Or were they pretending they can check corruption by simply saying, declare your assets and go away. So that gives politicians the courage to acquire wealth with careless abandon, as we have just seen in recent days. Aisha, I think the problem is multifaceted. And if we are serious, we have to approach them that way. Those we can control, especially assets declaration, we should strengthen it to make sure those who who break it are penalized.
The full interview airs right after Prime Sport here on Joy News Channel. Now, we'll go for our editorial, and for our editorial today, we discuss the National Cathedral Project.
I want you to imagine something for a minute. Picture a father, a man with a large family, many children. This man says he loves his family, but cannot provide for their needs. Many of his children go hungry every day. He cannot afford to take the sick ones to hospital. He has managed to send some of them to school, but can't feed them while they learn. He cannot provide a roof over their heads. When it rains, some of them get washed away. The older ones who are surviving his neglect are told to not only fend for themselves, but to send him more and more money each year to cater for the family. But while this man asks his impoverished children to tighten their belts and sacrifice for the family, he drives around in expensive cars, treats himself in the best hospitals, takes loving care of his friends, and makes no apology to his children for their back-breaking work that pays for his lavish lifestyle. Now, just as these children are at their hungriest, sickest, and most impoverished, this Father of the Year announces that he is going to donate a massive chunk of the money they have been paying into the family account to a church project. Why? Because some years ago he promised God he would do so. Tell me honestly, what would you think of such a father? President Nana Akufo-Addo is clearly a man of his word. He pledged free SHS to Ghanaians and he has delivered. Maybe we can talk about the quality of the education the children are being subjected to later. But for today, let's just say he's delivering. Now, while he was going around the country promising us free SHS, he was also telling God that if he won the 2016 elections, he would construct a cathedral to the glory of his name. Indeed, after he won the election, he chose to follow through on his promise. President Nana Akufo-Addo made a donation of 100,000 Ghana cedis from his personal money to the National Cathedral project.
The purpose of the cathedral, as I indicated at the sword cutting, was to offer thanksgiving to the Almighty for his blessings to us as a nation and to address a missing link in the nation's architecture by building a church for national purposes. The challenge of building Ghana's national cathedral, therefore, relates to the mobilization of our people in support of the project.
Clearly, what the president had in mind was not a 100,000 Ghana cedi cathedral. The fulfilling of his personal pledge to God would cost much more than that. And the president is a man of his word. So, without Ghanaians' permission, he demolished buildings on state grounds, including judges' homes, to make room for his massive personal debt to God to be built. Why should Ghanaians be the ones funding the president to pay a personal debt that he owes to God? But the president didn't stop at the appropriation of state land for his personal project. In Parliament, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta pledged state funding to the cathedral.
Mr. Speaker, this state and church partnership envisaged by the President to develop the National Cathedral is on course. An initiative, the 100 CDs a month club, also dubbed Kitwe Biarensa, will be launched by the trustees of the National Cathedral on August 12, 2021 to give as many Ghanaians as possible the opportunity to be part of the history to build the National Cathedral. The aim of the club is to raise 1 million Ghanaians who will give 100 CDs a month for the construction of the National Cathedral.
This week, a leaked document revealed that a donation of 25 million Ghana cedis has been approved as additional seed money. Another leaked document revealed that the architectural firm in charge of the project has already been paid 37 million Ghana cedis for this project. Now, the good book says, "For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God." We are all sinners, granted. But the same Bible says we should work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. So again, I ask, why are we abandoning our own salvation to work out Nana Akufo-Addo's? Why are we footing the bill for the president's pledge to God? Ghanaians are predominantly devout and generous Christians. Many people have actually given money to this project already, but many more have not. Some Christians have blatantly refused to donate because they object to being roped in to fund the fulfillment of the president's private pledge. They say their refusal is due to Ghana's multitude of unsolved problems. The roads are bad. Many companies have shut down due to the poor economy. People are out of work. Because we don't have enough money to build drains, Accra floods every year and people die. Due to a lack of money, hospital projects have been put on hold. Because there's no money, the state owes very vulnerable people leap stipends. These people are going without food daily. School lunch caterers are on strike. They are enraged because the government expects them to feed each child on 97 pesos per meal. The government's excuse for this ridiculous amount is that there isn't enough money. There isn't enough money to feed our children. But we have sufficient funds to pay the president's personal debts. Please, God, speak to us. Is this really what you want? Do you really want our leaders to starve us, neglect our basic needs, and leave us to our own fate just so that you can have another cathedral? Because this is what your servant, our president, is doing. So God, today we are asking you, what would you think of the actions of our leader?
All right, so this is still the Joy News Prime. We're hearing that the National Security is picking intel about some suspicious characters, and they've just released a statement which says that intelligence gathered indicates suspicious movement of a group of persons along a mountainous area that borders Bumpurupu Nampanduri district in the northeast region and the Garu district in the upper east region. That the group was reportedly sighted aboard motorbikes dressed in apparels that hid their faces and headed for the mountainous area in the Garu district. Your attention is drawn to the aforementioned movement for urgent action, and this is signed by Major General Francis Edu Amonfo, retired National Security Coordinator. So that is the information we're picking from the National Security there. There are still more stories on myjoyonline.com. Up next is Prime Business. My name is Samuel Kojo. Brace to enjoy your weekend. Good evening.